With the 16th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select
offensive tackle Talisi Fuaga from Oregon State. Now, when I was trying to evaluate the Seahawks, and you've got Mike McDonald there, I considered Jerzon Newton for a long time. Defensive line, that's a great place to go. He is kind of how we talked about those corners just there, is how people should see the defensive tackles. It's Jerzon Newton and it's Byron Murphy. And there's not that big of a gap, but there is a gap to what other teams are looking for in a defensive tackle. Yet, when you're looking here, offensive line just feels like the right way to go, and Fuaga is a guy that can help right away. And I don't expect Mike McDonald to be wanting to wait around to try to get an offensive line right, to get an offense going. He wants to get the offense going because he knows he can take care of the defense. That's why I see Talisi Fuaga going to the Seattle Seahawks in Mike McDonald's first year.
with the 17th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. The Jacksonville Jaguars select
inside offensive line, Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon. Maybe a little late for Jackson Powers Jr. to go off, or Johnson to go off. Maybe a little early. But this is a big pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars, getting a big offensive lineman that can really start that run game, because that is how Trevor Lawrence is going to succeed the most, right? Haven't been able to get a successful run game that is able to bust off big runs while still gaining consistent yards. It feels like, they can go out there, the Jacksonville Jaguars can go out and run on a team, or they can go out there and get 50 yards in 20 attempts or 15 attempts and 10 attempts, and they'll quit. But I think when you get Jackson Powers Johnson, I think that changes. I think that's a big change, and I think you get much better running the ball when you select somebody like that, and that's a great pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
With the 18th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select my favorite tackle personally, offensive tackle Troy Fautanu out of Washington. Now, when I say favorite tackle, it's really hard to evaluate Washington as a whole last year because they were so successful. And there's so many players that are in this draft because of it. You think 3 wide receivers, 1 quarterback. We're talking about an offensive tackle right now. You will see many more Washington players get drafted in day 2 and day 3. And you've just got to break down who is the most reasoned for success there. Who made the most success happen? And Troy Fautanu was one of those pass defending offensive tackles that I mean, best pass blocker there is, but in my opinion. But the run blocking isn't so bad in itself that you can't see. His measurables fit up exactly how I thought they would. I think that was what many people were waiting on. Now, is there an injury history? I don't really think there's an injury history that should be stopping Troy Fautanu to be drafted higher than what many people. I've seen 21, 24, 26. Troy Fautanu is too good for that. Troy Fautanu is going earlier. He's going at pick 18 to the Cincinnati Bengals, and they're high-fiving over there. That's a fantastic pick. With the 19th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, Los Angeles Rams select.
We've talked about it. I was going to forget that at one point in time. I want to go back real quick and talk about the Cincinnati Bengals one more time and the Titans. Bill Callahan went from the Bengals to the Titans. So the Titans now are getting Joe Alt for Bill Callahan to work with. It's interesting. Now, I do think Cincinnati Bengals win by picking Troy Fautanu later in this draft. Both of them get offensive tackles, despite one team losing a offensive line coach that is among the most legendary still active. All right, with the 19th pick, as you had said, the Los Angeles Rams select cornerback Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. Now, this is one of those home run picks that wouldn't have been a home run pick for many other teams, but specifically for the Los Angeles Rams, who have the worst secondary last year. Just focusing on last year alone, if you were to ask me, first or second worst secondary in the league, and they need fixes really at every position. There needs to be a lot of competition, and the Rams secondary coming into training camp
one way that you booster your team in some sort of way right now, you may not even know right now. Maybe you're not so sure if you're the Rams. Maybe it's been a long offseason. Maybe, you're just feeling not quite ready to get into the thick of the draft. If you pick Cooper DeJean out of Iowa right now, he fits somewhere on that roster immediately as a starter. It might be at safety. You'll have to figure that out. But somewhere along that secondary, there's a fit for Cooper DeJean.
With the 20th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select
corner Nate Wiggins, Clemson. And this is a run of corners here. It started at 15 when Terrion Arnold went with the Indianapolis Colts. And it's really starting to end here. But you're going to see it's kind of a mix. Offensive tackles, you're going to see this as well, where both of these guys is kind of going to be, I want that corner, I want that offensive tackle, corner, offensive tackle. Wait, all the corners and offensive tackles are now gone. And so that's why I see this transitioning here. Cooper DeJean, and then I think Pittsburgh says, hey, we like Nate Wiggins. A little bit smaller in stature than people are saying, but got bigger at his pro day, was right around 180, 182 pounds. It's a little bit more. It's still a little small, but it's what people wanted to see. But I don't know. Pittsburgh's had pitchers like Joe Hayden, I think of. They've had more shorter corners and have been fine with it. I don't think they see this as necessarily a loss, and I think Nate Wiggins is a great pick here. I think it's a match made in heaven, really, at the cornerback position for Nate Wiggins, Clemson, to Pittsburgh Steelers.